everybody. Welcome to the Punch Up Pod with Lila and Pat. Happy New Year. It's the Sunday Night Shit Show.
I'm Pat and she's Lila. Hello.
Here we are.
Should I get a radio voice? Maybe we should do that.
Yeah, I always feel like that when I say hello and welcome.
I just thought of that.
Yeah.
Because I forget I have my sound machine.
Wait, do it again.
Well, I've got one of those little sound boxes. We could be like,
I'm waiting for the big sound.
Every new show, we're like,
right. We need the applause, the fake applause,
Bro.
The sitcom applause. Let people know that we're, being funny. That was a joke. That's a joke.
Yeah, well,
every time you have to explain a joke, do a please clap. You can do a Jeb Bush.
Oops. That's what I meant. Drum roll. We can do a drum roll occasionally.
I like it. I think we maybe need to level up your sound machine there because I'm having a hard time hearing it.
And I have to put my readers on to see what button to push. So
oh my God, please.
Here we go.
That's my whole life is my readers. I got them right here next to me. I'm going to get those little beaded things. My only New Year's resolution was to look even more like an old person with the, I shouldn't say that. They're lovely. But those little, what is it called? That hold on to your glasses.
Oh yeah.
You can have it around your neck.
Like croaks, but weren't they called croaks back in the day? I mean,
croaks.
Croakies were like the ones that were meant for water skiers originally, the sort of neoprene.
Can't do that with my knees. Well, this is a weird one. It was really hard even to say. It's I'm having a hard time being like Happy New Year, people, because it's a lot more of the same as we said.
Did you see the shooting? Which one?
I mean, it's the shooting, the massacres in Gaza, Israel's now moving into Egypt. We've got Liz Cheney and Hillary Clinton getting medals of freedom with Bono.
Kenny. Don't forget Kenny.
Kenny got to meet. I know we're gonna all this stuff.
Kenny.
They found the one Irish person who is pro genocide in Bono, and brought him on for a presidential medal of freedom. It's amazing. So it's bleak times. We're gonna try to find some humor and fun and some moments to celebrate. As always, we want to start by thanking all of our wonderful members. Oh my goodness, my eyes have either gotten worse or there's so many people crammed on here. We better start a scroll. Thank you all for being so generous. We really, really appreciate all of you. Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. Cheers.
Cheers.
And I shout out to my beer of the day. When I can, I try to match to a show or something political. Angry Eagle. Angry Eagle.
Angry Eagle. That could be the new flag for the U.S. Angry Eagle.
Saving democracy. The eagle is mad.
I think what was the Bernie thing? If you're not outraged, you're not paying attention, or always be outraged, or whatever it is. That's where it is. Zainab, thank you. Cheers to you, Zainab. And you're on our list because we're talking about some potential crossover stuff that we can't wait to do with you. So thank you. And don't worry about the typo. I can't see anything either, but thank you and cheers. Cheers.
I love it. Leola. Ere Leola, or I don't know. There's a joke somewhere that's inappropriate.
Yeah, I think you already put it out there.
No, did I?
Too late.
If it's not funny, is it a joke? I don't think that was even funny. So
please clap.
Need to workshop it.
And just we're so grateful for those of you who are tuning in tonight. Even though we are competing against the Golden Globes.
You always give away our competition. Thank you for being here and not watching The End of the Universe on Channel 3.
I feel
glad we're spending our final hours when the meteor is about to hit the Earth together.
Yeah, all together. It's very Don't Look Up. I feel like in the last few years, all of those award shows have lost quite a bit of their luster between COVID and genocide and sadness about the world, it feels very sort of fake and glitzy in the face of
right. I think you're right. I think the pandemic really, it could have been an opportunity for all of us to go like, oh, we're all together in this moment. But it was just like with the economic divide and seeing them all together and we're all not out in public together and you're still living your life the same. And, a lot of that, I really hate like Dana says, the decadence is just gross. I don't like bougie things. And so I've always sort of hated most of these award shows, to be honest.
I mean,
the runs.
Thank you. That's very nice. Someday, and I will force everybody. We'll move the show we'll do a live stream. Wouldn't that be fun? I was very much into all of these award shows, and I still am. I'm still taping it because I'm just sort of curious. I love movies and acting and writing and directing and shows and all that kind of stuff. But the award aspect of it, that always feels sort of ridiculous.
Yeah. And it's blowhards thanking blowhards. And
I know.
Get political, but they don't want you to be political there. So it's like, that's not that. So every once in a while you got to have like somebody slap somebody on stage or,
that was a moment. That was quite a moment. Hope, thank you for your super sticker. Thank you, Hope. That's so generous. Cheers to you. I know I should drink, right? Okay. Yeah, I think the fun about the Golden Globes used to be that, and I mean, maybe it still is, but that people were drinking a lot at their tables, so things weren't quite so scripted, and it was like a behind the scenes look at the crazy, fancy Hollywood people. And now I think everything just feels so manufactured and staged that it's hard to even get behind that. I wanted to show that, I forgot that it was from the Oscars, but it also got our show blacked out while we were showing it a few years ago, when we showed the Michael Moore talking about how George W. lied us into Iraq when he did his 9/11 or 9/11, and how like the whole audience of Hollywood libs just booed him and shunned him for that. So it's not a place for politics. Limousine liberals they hate every war but the one we're in, and they love every social activist cause except the one we're in. That's just kind of the way it goes.
I'm curious what would happen if somebody's going to get up there and say something about Palestine, and the reaction will be kind of curious. Yeah. But don't switch from this channel to that. Just wait for the highlight. We'll play it for the highlight next week.
We'll get ourselves blocked on Wednesday when we show clips from the Golden Globes. All right, let's speaking of wacky media people, we're doing a slightly different and sarcastic, ironic cheers today.
Yeah, we did not join in solidarity with Anderson Cooper or CNN, but let's show some highlights. This is a highlight. This is my highlight of we were both watching this live some of the night.
Texting each other, and then there's like, I can't bear it anymore, and we both did our own thing.
Yeah, we checked out early.
Cheers.
Cheers. Oh. Oh. Oh.
He's so Simpson character.
You have a cough. I think I'm going to get it because I'm going to be drinking out of your glass all night. That hurt. Okay.
Oh, good.
Sorry about that, Anderson. Did you what?
Oh Lord.
You know what? It was a beautiful day.
I don't even know if that was real. Like, that's not actually a reaction to taking a shot I've ever seen ever, but it was interesting. I guess he's not a big drinker.
And to me, like I said, The Simpsons came to mind of the way they burp in the cartoons, the lips flop and the beer. I don't even know the characters' names, but that just didn't look real. It looked like
it didn't look real at all. Yeah, it's like, this is how I'm supposed to respond when I take a strong shot. The other thing was, I don't know if you saw this or if anybody was watching, but it was raining in Times Square. And Anderson Cooper says something like, I don't know how many of you know, but Andy, what's his name? Andy Cohen? Yeah. Andy's is a really big activist. And so I was like, oh, wow, they're going to say something meaningful. I didn't know that because I find him so repugnant. I can't stand Andy Cohen and everything he does on Bravo with all the like reality TV bullshit. I just hate it. He says a few years ago, we were here doing it and it was raining and we wanted to use umbrellas. And the Times Square authority people said that we weren't allowed to, but Andy fought it. And so now we're allowed to use umbrellas.
That's activism right there.
Like, wait a second, in the middle of like, homelessness skyrocketing in our country, economic, disparity off the charts, genocide, World War III, the activism is protecting yourself from the rain. Fight the power. Fight the power.
Such a perfect analogy. I mean, not analogy, but
like an example of what they view as activism, looking out for numero uno,
and the elitism that they would get to probably, and then nobody out there in Times Square can.
Yeah, no, yeah, you can't. I don't think anybody can. And then they're like coughing and sharing a shot glass, and it's COVID and bird flu and everything. I don't know. Very difficult to watch. I think I made it about half an hour, 45 minutes. And then
we were the same. I think we tuned in at the same time and watched at the same time. Because I texted you, I can't watch any more of this shit. Take care. Have a good New Year's.
Yeah, exactly. And I was turning the channel. Okay, let us actually get to it.
Fair enough. I forget they changed the button names. It's gonna throw me off for months.
That's good. She's got 15 more days of holding office, and then I think we can scrap her from that video.
I'll pull her from the video as soon as I can get around to it. But
I know. I know that's.
Is she going to run for governor? I mean, I don't think we're done with her.
When does that happen? I don't even know. Yeah.
Good question.
All right. Starting with one more moment of levity before we then move on. Oh, you didn't do the adjustment, Pat.
Bro, I changed it. It's there.
Oh my God, when you don't have things labeled the right way, it's my brain explodes. Okay, wait 1 second. Sorry.
Yeah, baby.
That's a good one. All right, I'm going to fill her up and then we're going to move to one more spin before we really get into the blight.
Yeah, baby.
69 viewers.
All right.
What do we land on? Here.
Here.
We might not be back. I might be in jail. I might be anywhere. But when I leave, you can remember I said with the last words on my lips that I am a revolutionary. And you're going to have to keep on saying that. You're going to have to say that I am a proletarian. I am the people. I'm not the pig. You've got to make a distinction. And the people are going to have to attack the pigs. The people are going to have to stand up against the pigs. That's what the pastors are doing. That's what the pastors are doing all over the world.
Gotta have that energy. 2025. That was from 2024, but 2025. I am the revolutionary. Everybody. Feel that.
Keep saying
Feel
it,
that
but
strength.
this year is it's volatile. That's the key word of the year for me. Things are gonna blow. We got chemicals mixing together that there's gonna be a reaction somewhere or another. What it is, how it happens, where we go with it, that is unknown, but I think the volatility is built into 2025.
All right. Well, because we're out of practice and we're back on our regular schedule starting this week. So we'll be here on Wednesday. We didn't do our normal, like, I'm going to throw a curve at you and suggest that we start with the attacks, if that's all right with you. Because I feel like it kind of feeds into everything that's happening on some level, right? Like January 1st, it was New Year's Eve on Bourbon Street. There's the first attack, which is horrific, right? A truck plows into crowds of people, kills at least 15, injures 30. I mean, just people celebrating on Bourbon Street. So definitely an act of terror that right away started all sorts of conspiracy theories and fueled different political agendas, right? We find out that the perpetrator is sorry, I just want to get to all the different. Okay, so here is, I do have to put my glasses on. Sorry, just terrible. We find out very quickly that he's a U.S. Army veteran, in spite of the right and, of course, Donald Trump. Their first, propensity is to say, this is why we can't have illegal people here, illegals, the border. Donald Trump wrote this long screed, which we will show in a minute. But they show this guy, and then very soon after that, we see, that wasn't the right one. We see a Cybertruck, an Elon Musk Cybertruck, explode in front of Trump Tower in Las Vegas.
And I'll be honest, I still don't understand the chain of events there. Like, the guy died of a gunshot wound in his car that he blew up. So what's the order?
Yeah.
Like, there's so much unexplained between both these incidents.
Yeah.
And
there is so much unexplained, and there's so many crazy connections. So first of all, the first guy, sorry, and I just want to make sure I have his name
Matthew
correct.
No,
that's the second guy.
Tesla truck.
Yeah. So where is? Oh, you know why? Because we ran out of space, and I couldn't put all of my
StreamYard
different things up. Yeah, StreamYard. Okay. So that's also not it. Sorry, I don't have his name. That is terrible. Except for here we do. Okay. So this is Shamsuddin Bahar Jabbar, is the man in the middle on the right. He is the New Orleans person who drove his truck into crowds of people. And so first, he has a name that doesn't sound typically white American. I don't know. So
sounds like ISIS.
Yeah, exactly. So Trump goes off on why we can't have people like this. His next in command on being racist, the Jewish guy from Santa Monica, Stephen Miller, also talks about, how this is why we can't let people in. But of course, this guy, Shamsud, is American, US born, always been a US citizen, was an active member of the military for years, and was at Fort Bragg, along with the man who, as you just said, shot himself in the head, and then his truck blows up. They were both at Fort Bragg together. And then the third person that people are putting, that guy on the bottom, was Wesley Routh, who was the latest person to try to assassinate President Trump. That was the third one. Also, they say he visited Fort Bragg. So there are all these, so now, like, the conspiracy theories fly because there's a lot of stuff that's unusual coincidence, right? They were both, and actually, Leibelsberger was an active member of the U.S. military in special ops, and he was a Green Beret. And people are saying, like, if he really intended to do this, which from all of his friends who are speaking up say, like, there was no indication, which of course most people,
yeah, you wouldn't necessarily know. So none of this is on its own something
right.
to raise a
Right.
conspiracy about.
But like he would have been trained in how to make explosives. Why have a Tesla Cybertruck that's not going to actually like explode and cause damage? Why kill yourself before making sure that you're explosive? If you know you're dying anyway, like why would you kill yourself and then just hope that your project is going to come to fruition, right? Like there were a lot of things like that that felt like they didn't make sense. And then the ISIS and the Muslim connection for the New Orleans person. And then very quickly, this was all pushed to be like, oh, it's ISIS. I guess the New Orleans guy had written, and we have, some of his emails, which I have to load now because we didn't have room when we first started, talk about wanting, both of them apparently left messages. This is according to the FBI, who's like never put everything together so quickly. Like right away, we had so much information. Okay, Leibelsberger's body was charred beyond recognition, couldn't be identified, but his passport that was inside the burning Tesla somehow miraculously totally intact. And then the next day, this New York Post reporter gets access to the New Orleans guy's house and just walks through it in her yoga pants, pointing out an open Quran that she, according to many people who translated that page, incorrectly says, oh, it's about martyrdom, right? That was
that scene in particular is of all the things, this is the strangest. I didn't even believe this was real for so long. I thought, no, this is some sort, we're going to find out this didn't happen.
It's so crazy. Because very next day.
There's so much, you could not have possibly come through every piece of that room. And if you did, you still wouldn't open it up to a reporter.
Yeah.
It just doesn't pass the smell test here.
With everything just like laid out so well, like, oh, here's my bomb making table. Here's my kafia. Here's my Quran open to being a martyr. It's like,
It really reminded me of Israel in the tunnels, like pointing out the evidence, like, oh, here's the Quran, like you said. Here it is.
Here's mine.
I am a terrorist.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, people haven't really talked about it too much, but like, the first thing we heard is there are definitely multiple people involved in this situation from the New Orleans police. They're like, we know we have this is a multiple thing. We really don't think he did it himself. And then overnight, there's like, nope, that's it. It's a wrap. It's just him. We know it's just him. That's it.
Yeah.
And then here's his room, and here's it. What changed your mind? Like, why didn't they tell us why they changed their mind on that one? Like, is there a narrative that they're saying to why they went from thinking multiple people to just this guy? I haven't heard it.
Yeah. Yeah, how can you rule out
so quickly?
Like, how can they rule it out so quickly after one day? And then be like, and we're so fine with it that we're going to let some Yahoo from the New York Post just muddy up all the evidence in his house.
Exactly. And there are lots of explanations for some of this stuff. Like, to me, the most likely reason they quickly pivoted to it's just this one guy is that they had a lot of tourists in town for the football game, and they wanted them to feel safe. So like, hey, no, we got the dude. It's just the one dude. You guys can, COVID's over. COVID is over.
Yeah, it's all fine. Make sure you spend a lot of money in our town. Yeah, the other thing was like the barricades that had been put up a few years ago to make sure that something like this couldn't happen had been taken down, which is especially strange. Like they said, oh, it's because they were getting ready for the Orange Bowl or whatever the thing is there, whatever event was about to happen.
I mean, I don't think they were actually taken down. They were known for a long time to not have been working.
Right.
So yes, they were taken down, I guess, but they had been down for a long time. And so this is really a failure in leadership, knowing what a risk it is.
Right.
And the mayor, and their excuse was that they have there's a big event coming there soon.
The Super Bowl. No,
the Super Bowl. Yeah. So so they're like, well, we built it into the Super
Bowl.
We built it into the Super Bowl budget to fix that stuff.
Right. Well, can't touch that money until it's time.
That's still massively irresponsible. And you have access to all the traditional cement barricades. You could have put them up for
protection, just to be a little cautious and safe. Yeah.
It's clearly it's negligence on the mayor and the governor and whoever. Somebody's got some shit to.
Yeah.
And they're covering that part of it up with all this stuff. That's part of this conspiracy.
That's the problem, is we all know way too much. Like, oh, and by the way, just so we all know, Fort Bragg, which has been renamed Fort Liberty, has its own like PSYOPs department area, where an operation group where they like claim not all, but several dozens of the PSYOPs that they have staged across the world. Of course, they don't talk about doing it within our own country, but like, we know that this is how our government, our CIA acts, right? And so we know that these people are somehow connected to Fort Bragg, which also is a place that has been heavily reported on, both for the child sexual assault claims against soldiers who are there, for the number of homicides and suicides that take place or happen with people who have been stationed there, right? Like, there's a bunch of things that just make everything feel very suspicious. We know that Israel really wants us to go to war with Iran and Syria. We know that, the first, 2 attempts on Trump's life, he was told it was because Iran wanted him dead. So then it starts feeling like, oh, they're ginning up this idea that we need more surveillance. Palantir and Larry Ellison are talking about how we need to beef up that AI surveillance, and that the deep state, the military industrial complex, the blob, whatever, wants us to continue war in the Middle East.
Right.
So it starts feeling like, is this the way to kind of get everybody feeling like we're under attack? And then did that narrative fall apart too quickly? Like, I don't know, but there's so many unanswered questions, and there were so many questions that the authorities tried to answer more quickly than they've ever done ever. Like, even to the point where they won't call it a terrorist attack, the thing in New Orleans. Like, I don't know. There's just too many.
Yeah. And did you see that with the Trump story, the Cybertruck?
Yeah.
So the guy apparently emailed, did you see that stuff about one of those right-wing conspiracy military organization websites? He emailed his justification, and the FBI or the CIA basically confirmed that, at least they have, to my knowledge so far, confirmed that was from him.
Right.
And his claim was that those drones over New Jersey
were from China, like really dangerous.
That both China and the US have come into some new technology, that's some anti-gravitational stuff, and you get into UFO nut job stuff, but not actually UFO, but like there's this new technology, and that these drones rely on it, and that both us and China are doing it to each other massively, and that these drones are a threat to the US because they can zoom in and defeat all our infrastructure defense things and easily, do a lot of damage. And so that was part of his screed in his alleged manifesto email, kind of.
Okay. And then, the Twitter and TikTok sleuths were on it, because they said when they saw the email that you're saying that this right-winger guy presented as having been from Leibelsberger, the presentation had like the little red squiggle line under words that were misspelled, which doesn't happen. Like, if I'm in receipt of an email from you, it's not going to
highlight the misspellings.
Right. And also you can see the cursor. So then people, and again, like, listen, there is a possible explanation that these two things happened randomly. The truth is, like, what Mike Preisner, who's a advocate for vets and against, endless wars, was saying that the biggest predictor of mass killing is if a person has served in the military, right? So, like, I mean, PTSD, depression, you kill yourself, you take someone out, you
fall into believing conspiracy. Like those things kind of
Yeah.
go hand in hand for sure. But back to the conspiracy piece of
Yeah.
it with the guy in the Cybertruck. Look, if you want to look at this stuff as some sort of military conspiracy to gin up support for these wars,
Right.
well, the thing that they put out about him is basically like, look at China.
Yep.
And it happened in front of the Trump building. So it's like, well, that's sort of throwing you off that he's not trying to take out Trump. And, you know, Trump's not behind this because why would it happen in front of Trump Towers, you know, or
right.
You know, so, I mean, you can spiral down the path of all this stuff, but at the end of the day, there's violence happening a lot already. You start the year off with all these incidents of violence.
Yeah.
And
there was also a mass shooting that nobody's even talking about that I saw right before that happened on the 1st, also in, I'm sorry, because I don't even know where, but like, yeah, sorry, go ahead. There is a lot of violence. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know where I was going.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't have,
No.
have interrupted you. But yeah, so what's in, like, as you were saying, like in this one blurb, and I think this guy is like this Nick Sorter guy is a right-wing person. So, you know, take it all with a grain of salt. But Las Vegas police say the Trump Cybertruck bomber sustained a gunshot wound to the head prior to the detonation of the truck, which the gun apparently was found on the floor between his legs, which people who know about that kind of a gun say it's got such a, I don't know any terminology, but such a big kickback or whatever, that there's no way it just would have like casually dropped, and nobody heard a shot either, which they thought was unusual. But they said, again, like they were not able to positively identify his body. He's too badly charred. So, but then very quickly they find the other.
I think that's interesting because they said that they ID'd him based on tattoos, and they showed a tattoo that was bloodied up, a bloodied up arm, and I assumed it was his arm. So that didn't end up panning out true.
I mean, there were just a lot of conflicting statements happening all at once. Here's another thing that's very weird. He was a reality TV show actor. Or I shouldn't say actor. He participated in a reality TV show a few years ago. So here's a little story on that, just so we see.
It's a reality show that pits teams of elite soldiers from around the world against each other.
Matt and Tim from the U.S. Army Special Forces, better known as the Green Berets.
Matthew Livelsberger and his partner Tim Kelly, both Green Berets, appeared on the Ultimate Soldier Challenge 12 years ago on the History Channel. They not only won, it wasn't even close.
You know, for television, they always try to make it a little bit more competitive, but we swept the whole entire show.
When he appeared on the show, Livelsberger used a shortened version of his name, Matt Berg. So it took Tim Kelly a while to put 2 and 2 together.
And then I saw a Matt Berg with a older photo of him, and I was like, oh no, dude, I know that guy. And then it just like tore my heart out because he was a really great Green Beret.
And what was he like?
He was all the things that you would expect from a Green Beret.
At one point during the show, Livelsberger lost his cool in the 90-plus degree heat.
I'm about to throw up, man. I got heat exhaustion, man. I need to take this off right now.
Tim Kelly says he hadn't heard from Livelsberger for a few years.
It just categorically does not make sense. From everything that I have heard, he was universally valued by his team, by his peers. I don't understand. It doesn't make sense, and it is just horrifically heartbreaking.
You know, so again, like obviously things can not make sense, but it just helped the conspiracy minded flourish, right?
Right. And this is where, regardless of what was behind it, politically, everyone took it as an opportunity to fight for, you know, this
crack down at the borders, more surveillance.
Exactly. It's always an opportunity to need to buy some more bombs and weapons. And
yeah. Oh, by the way, the New York Times and the is it the Jewish National Service connect the dots between New Orleans and support for anti-Israel terror. This is from JNS, but there was another article in the New York Times trying to link people who are anti-genocide to ISIS terrorism. But then you can go down the whole rabbit hole of who created ISIS. Why hasn't ISIS ever attacked Israel? A lot of people say that it was created by the CIA and Mossad. I don't know enough about any of it, but because we are so aware that our leaders for decades have been perpetrating false flags and psyops and killing people with abandon whom they think get in the way of whatever. Look at how many whistleblowers were killed or died by suicide just this year.
Yeah, and one connected to New Orleans now.
Yeah.
Well, not whistleblower, but the DA was killed or suicide. He shot himself.
The assistant DA in New Orleans, and was it a child pedophile ring? Was it a she or he? I don't even know. But the assistant DA, I don't know. There's just you might be totally right.
And I could be my sexism, assuming a DA is a he. Sorry.
Then going back to the New Orleans guy, a member of, so he was from Houston, which is why that journalist from the New York Post in her yoga pants got to his place so quickly, because that's her home base. But he says, I'm from Houston, have been active in the Muslim community here for years. Neither I nor anyone I know has ever seen or heard of the alleged Bourbon Street attacker. He was busted for drunk driving in 2020, but supposedly a committed Muslim. He served 10 years in the, so there's just a lot of stuff that feels
it could be
not
the
adding up.
Deep state trying to go after Trump for this stuff, because it does, there's a Trump connection there, that Trump comes out and blames the Muslims and it's not
right. Or to get him to go to war, because he's been saying he doesn't want to go to war, and they're so worried, not that he's like a peacenik, but that they're worried that maybe he's not going to want to go to war as much as they want. He's going to be done with the Ukraine-Russia stuff.
Right. So that would make sense for why they do the Tesla in front of Trump Towers. This is personal. Let's make it personal to him.
Which,
and
the assassination attempts, right?
The
assassination attempts, they kept saying, were because Iran wanted to assassinate him. So, there's just a lot of fodder for conspiracy, even for people who, I don't know how people actually aren't conspiracy minded at this point, because there's so many conspiracies that are true. Just because they call it a conspiracy just means people are working together to do something. And it's very clear that we've been doing that a lot.
Where I think the left needs to draw the line is you can't be sure about these things.
No, my gosh.
I really don't like media outlets that are like, oh, let me call it. This is terrorism. Yeah. This is a conspiracy, and this is that's Alex Jones shit.
Yeah.
The investigative. I don't trust things. I don't trust the government. I don't trust the narrative. Yeah. Is where we should be. Not definitively
keep peeling back the layers. Yeah.
One way or another until we have proof.
The only thing we know definitively that will happen is they will use this as an excuse to ramp up surveillance and AI surveillance, because it makes them all a ton of money. And if possible, they will use it to stoke, xenophobia and Islamophobia and close borders and be even more horrific to people who are coming here seeking asylum and migrants, and to try to get us to keep doing wars. That's the stuff that, whatever the reality is, that's how it will be used. That's how it's already being used.
But yeah, for the establishment, this is win-win-win. Win, because it also erases somewhat the innocence of the murder of this CEO killer. The CEO, it's like, look, this is the violent society. Do you want this? No. So, but now these things justify the surveillance state, where we wanted to do it anyway, especially after the CEO murder, but that didn't fit with you guys, but you can hate these guys, right?
Yeah. Don't you want to be protected by us?
And then the second layer of the win is obviously the war, because we know, I believe the atrocities in Palestine are going to come to an end soon. And then there's that war that needs to continue, because, all these military groups in the war machine, they're a business, and they're just they need to find ways to keep making money.
Yeah.
And so they, in Ukraine,
they want Ukraine
is going to wrap up. Yeah. Trump is probably wrapping up the Ukraine war.
Right.
for good or bad, that's going to end. So the sure thing we know is that those groups making money off of that war aren't going to make that money anymore.
Right.
So they need another way. So, Iran, China.
Yeah.
And we know Trump has Iran hawks in his cabinet.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. So there's all of that. There's also that we know that during the Iraq war, when military recruitment was down, there was a push, and they were successful in recruiting people who were known right-wing extremists, who were, convicts, not people who normally would have not been, admissible. And also people like from Right Sector and the 3% and the Proud Boys and Patriot, what is it? The Patriot, the Patriot Boys, the Patriot. Jesus Christ, there's my brain. Anyway, all of these far right, white supremacist, neo-Nazi, many of them groups, there was a project to get people into the military to learn military tactics to then bring them back, right? So like what you said, yeah, I mean, the stuff that we do abroad is coming home to roost, one way or the other. You cannot create generations of people who we send off to rape, pillage, massacre people in other countries and not think that that's going to come home to us. Of course it is, one way or the other. People are suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. They have been conditioned to see people as the enemy, to dehumanize. And once you make that leap to see other humans as less than, as, that you can kill them because they're terrorists, they're evil, they're just going to grow up to be terrorists, you're born guilty, whatever it is, once you've made that leap and you are told that it's okay to kill the people who are the enemy, I just think,
all conspiracy theorists aside, at the least you've got 3 military people committing these acts of terrorism here.
Yeah. 2. Who's the one who tried to shoot. Yeah. I mean, I can't remember if he was. Yeah, I think he was military. Oh, because that Routh guy was recruiting people to go fight in Ukraine.
Yeah, the Trump assassin, attempted the golf cart.
The third guy,
course assassin.
Yeah. So you reap what you sow, and the truth is, we do, whether it's Mossad who created ISIS or CIA, or whether we funded them, we know we funded them. We know that, Jake Sullivan was writing to Hillary saying Al-Qaeda's on our side in Syria or Iraq or whatever. We know that right now the person who deposed Assad was one of our number one enemies, Al-Jabawi from Al-Qaeda, one of the heads of Al-Qaeda. And now, they put him in a suit and they do the Richard Spencer treatment, and he's, modified himself, and he's a nicer terrorist now. And I think, that is evil, but it also must do such a mind fuck on military people who go off thinking we're fighting the enemy, and then realizing many of the people they're killing are civilians. And then the people they were told, with their deck of cards and all of their, targets, are now on our side. Isn't that great?
Yeah.
I mean,
well, and part of the email from the Tesla guy, it did say that he had been part of killing lots of innocent civilians on behalf of the U.S. So that was a big piece of what was in there.
Yeah.
So makes you question everything, like you said. But being in the military and thinking you're the good guy, it's look, I think it makes sense that countries should have militaries, and if you work for the military, you basically are trying to take orders. But this is the reality, is that you participate in a lot of evil on behalf of the biggest terrorist nation on earth, us.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, yes. And I'm sorry, because I see you guys are writing and we're just not getting to it all fast enough. But thank you. Sorry, I'm just trying to go back and see, and I'm never going to be able to read all of it. So please forgive us for not getting to all your comments right away. But Yeah, and then obviously they both had their own sort of personal issues, and but yeah, you know, like divorce, and I am seeing a lot of people writing this, and it does feel a lot cleaner. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, just
look, I don't think there's any world where they allow Luigi to get off. Sorry. I think
they're going to have to prove that it wasn't him. You know what I mean? Like, it's all circumstantial evidence. So I think that if his defense attorney is as good as she's supposed to be, there is a chance that there's just not enough actual evidence to put him there. And
true.
Yeah.
And look, I think jury nullification, the more I think about it, it's kind of a pipe dream. I mean, what you're looking at is hung juries, you know, which is not jury nullification. Jury nullification, the whole jury has to come back and say, we find him not guilty despite thinking he's guilty,
because we don't think it's a crime. We actually don't.
They don't have
think
to
he did
explain
it, but we don't think it's a crime. But like, that would be the thing. It's not that they don't. Yeah.
But one person can hold out forever and just say, I don't care, I'm not going to go along with you, jury nullification, on a personal level. But that becomes a hung jury, which then goes back to the DA to retry the case if they want to. So I think they just will go after him forever until he gets a guilty verdict, or they off him in prison.
I think if there's a way to make it so that this was not the guy, we have the wrong person. Like, if she can do that, that might satisfy people. But I think you're right that if it's clear that he is the person who pulled the trigger, for sure, they're gonna make an example of him. They're trying it already. And, you know, because we're in this crazy world of one horrifying moment after another, we don't get to, like, you know, any one of these events could last months of us all just kind of reeling and mourning and dissecting and trying to figure out, like, what are we doing in this country where, you know, we know that it's the far right that has caused the most acts of terror in our country, but still we're somehow always looking towards Islam and Muslims and brown people, right? Like, that's the way they always go.
Yeah. And these are people on the far right, but the Democratic Party is basically feeding into that narrative as well now, where they didn't used to feed into it. They used to put it all on, you know, don't blame immigrants. And now, God, there goes my mic.
I know, 2025, same shit.
But the Democratic Party is guilty of otherizing everybody now and basically blaming losing the election to Trump on us being too woke as Democrats. I mean, that's not me.
Yeah, but yeah. They're going to keep doing that. It's very strange that I can't see your face, but
I'm fixing it.
All right. Okay. I mean, do we really even want to? I can't believe we're going to have 4 years of these fucking clowns. But okay, in the midst of all of this, the really important thing is Elon Musk still has his stupid fucking Cybertrucks to shill for. So Cybertruck is the worst possible choice for a car bomb, as its stainless steel armor will contain the blast better than any other commercial vehicle. He's doing sales pitches during, like, you know, acts of terror. He's doing sales pitches. And okay, so yeah, that was the other thing. They both rented their cars from the same car renting app, Turo, which is, you know, interesting, although I don't know how pervasive that is, if that's what everybody would do anyway. I lost my whole train of thought.
It's my green screen throwing
I know,
off.
I saw you back. I was like, oh my God, I got you.
I'm trying to change it. It won't let me change to an actual image.
Sorry.
Anyway,
and then, you know, Trump, I mean, I will not read all of this, but our country is a disaster. So this is on January 2nd. Disaster, a laughingstock all over the world. This is what happens when you have open borders. Both of these people were U.S. citizens born in the U.S., did not cross the border to get here, with weak, ineffective, and virtually non-existent leadership. That is true. The DOJ, FBI, and Democrat state And local prosecutors have not done their job. They're incompetent, corrupt, spent all their waking hours unlawfully attacking their political opponent, me, rather than focusing on protecting Americans from the outside and inside violent scum that has infiltrated all aspects of our government and our nation itself. Democrats should be ashamed of themselves for allowing this to happen to our country. The CIA must get involved now. I wonder what RFK thinks about that before it's too late. The USA is breaking down. A violent erosion of safety, national security, and democracy is taking place all across our nation. Only strength and powerful leadership will stop it. See you on January 20th. Make America great. I know what I was going to say is that this is another crazy aspect. The Cybertruck blows up and self-locks, and they can't get into it. Elon Musk, and they thanked him publicly, was able to get into it remote, has a master key for all of his trucks. Also, every place where it went to charge has surveillance cameras. So he handed over all of the cameras from this guy's trip to New Orleans.
Yeah, it exposed a lot there.
Or
the
surveillance state, to Vegas.
The surveillance state is watching more than we know. Like we know that McDonald's has facial recognition in their little AI walk-up order food things. The little self-service.
Yeah, that's so crazy.
AI. There's AI in there, and it exposed what shit trucks he has. for one, they're garbage. We named this thing Dumpster Fire 2020. Because it looks like a fucking dumpster, and there it is on fire.
Yeah,
it's garbage. So there's a manual release procedure if the door locks itself, but nobody knows how to fucking do it, and it's a big elaborate spiel. Like your car's on fire. Yeah, let's figure out how to do this thing.
Punch in this code. Look it up in the manual. Yeah.
Every other car with electronic windows has an easier process to open the doors and windows.
But you're right. The thing about, and then I know we'll move on, but the thing about the McDonald's, which people made note of, was how did anybody put together that was Luigi? And every time we had seen him, it was only with his mask up. And so how would some employee from McDonald's know? And then the supposition was that it was actually the reason they gave credit to the employee of McDonald's, who, by the way, didn't qualify for the reward money because of the way he went about it.
Capitalism looks so fucking bad in all of this, as it should.
It should. But that because they were actually tracking him through all of the surveillance that we have in this country that most people aren't even aware about, and that there would probably be a lot of outcry if we knew. So they had to make it seem like, they got the tip from a McDonald's guy, but it's because they were tracking him through all these different surveillance items.
Yep.
Mostly everything they're doing in Gaza is coming home to us. All that surveillance, they talk about it. I mean, it's so disgusting, but that these weapons technology companies, industries, will talk about how they are trying out new weapons on Palestinians in Gaza. That's their test ground.
Well, and Ukraine is drone warfare. People have no idea what's going on there, but it's just, we're talking Terminator shit. Drones are flying around, finding people in little spots, and somebody in a cubicle miles away is sending in a suicidal drone to kill him. That's what's happening in Ukraine right now.
Yeah. All right. Cheery. Are we moving on? Do we have anything else to say about any of the
No, just that we're going to learn more about all these situations, but there's fishiness for sure in New Orleans. I don't believe at all that what we're hearing is accurate. That doesn't mean believe all the conspiracies either.
Right. Yeah.
Stay educated. Keep learning.
Do your own research. No, I'm kidding.
Don't let Jimmy Dore do your research on this, is what I'm trying to say.
Whoa.
Oh, you're flipping.
Pat.
What?
Where's
what
the wheel one? Where's the wheel?
The far right one.
That is my
alt-right.
far right one.
I don't know.
They messed me up.
StreamYard will not let me put my background up. Maybe I'll just have to go with maybe I'll drop the green screen or something on the break.
Yeah, maybe
I can't stand the green. The green's obnoxious.
Well, maybe exit and come right back in the next video. We'll play a video.
Play a video. Let's land on something video.
All right.
Here, you push it. I'm gonna pick you.
All right. All right. I'm gonna fill up. I will fill up, but I'm also going to spin again. 1 second.
Yeah, baby.
All right, that's what we needed as a timeline. Here we go. 1 second. All right. I'm just gonna pick the longest one to give Pat a second to come back. Okay. 1 second. I'm pushing all the buttons here. Okay. What do we got here for our timeline cleanses? We are going to do a little bit of kids saying the darndest things.
Mom, look at this A and B.
Love it.
Don't play with me, mother. Fuck off.
Excuse me?
Fuck off.
Excuse me?
Fuck off.
Naughty.
Fuck off.
Naughty.
Fuck off.
Naughty.
Fuck off.
Don't tell me.
Fuck off.
Don't tell me.
Fuck off. Oh, do it, snowman. Fuck a snowman.
What?
It's cannon.
What'd you say?
Oh, fucking damn it. Fuck a punch. Oh, fucking damn it. Bitch. 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 Ooh.
Oh, shit.
Oh, shit.
Oh.
Oh, fuck. Fuck off, you fat pig.
That last one was good. I gasped at the same time. Oh my God, you fell apart. What's happening back there?
I mean, it's all I could. It's the best I can do under short circumstances.
All
This is
right,
my green screen. This is my little
ridiculous.
closet.
Yeah.
Behind me is a cat tower. Here's my world here, guys.
What happens if you say you don't have a green screen? It won't let you just do like the fake
I've been
background?
checking all the boxes, trying everything.
StreamYard.
I don't know what the shit is going on.
All right, moving on. Should we just go right to Israel since we're talking about horror and war?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. I mean, Jesus, this photo at the very bottom, this is Dr. Hassam Abu Safia, who's the director of Kamal Adwan Hospital, that has been attacked repeatedly, bombed, everything around them bombed, set fire to. This was about a week and a half ago, walking out, and they've already killed his grown son, and I'm sure other members of his family, but he has stayed at one of the few, previously working hospitals in Gaza. So he's walking out in his medical coat in the middle of total destruction, rubble, approaching Israeli IDF in their tanks. They kidnap him. And now we have reports that he's at Sde Taman, which is the torture camp, rape factory, where we know that, other doctors actually were raped to death and men were raped to death, that they've trained their dogs to rape prisoners. And, the medical profession, just like has been, I think, better stateside than the journalism profession on decrying what's happening to their colleagues in Gaza. But, there is an outcry of, we have got to figure out where he is, what's happening. Israel said at first that they didn't have him. They had no record of him. Nobody really knows where he is except for this prisoner, here, who has been released, the guy in that picture. says that he knows that Dr. Sophia is at Sede Taman prison, and he has signs of beating, bruises, blood on his face, having been tortured. But, you know, our president, whoever the hell that is, doesn't care to put any pressure to make any of this stop. And so, you know, there have been video after video of doctors begging the world to show up and make this madness stop. And instead it continues.
I mean, you've got all the humanitarian groups have been screaming about this forever. You got human rights groups as far as the food situation, the doctors, every group on earth that has any knowledge of what's happening over there has been screaming this from the rooftops for so long. And we're just letting one fucking atrocity happen after another.
And Biden just sent $8 billion more. Just announced they're sending $8 billion more. Yeah. And I think, you know, part of it is that, you know, everybody knows what's happening if they care at all to know, I would think. But I guess, you know, there's still concern that word might get out. So, you know, Israel's been on a rampage of killing journalists since October 7th of last year, at least, or now 2023, at least 217 journalists and media workers have been killed. And, you know, some of the reporting that we get is so appalling, which is, of course, why they want to kill the journalists. One article that we didn't get to right before we took our week-long break was this from Haaretz, which is interviewing IDF soldiers. When you enter Gaza, you are God. Inside the minds of IDF soldiers who commit war crimes. He goes on to say, he talks about the different groups of soldiers based on personality traits. Small callous group composed of ruthless soldiers who are happy to be there. They committed most of the severe atrocities. The power they received in the army was intoxicating. It's like a drug. You feel like you're the law. You make the rules. As if the moment you leave the place called Israel and enter the Gaza Strip, you are God. They viewed brutality as an expression of strength and masculinity. I have no problem with women. One threw a slipper at me, so I gave her a kick here, pointing to the groin. Broke all this here. She can't have children today. X shot an Arab 4 times in the back and got away with a self-defense claim. 4 bullets in the back from a distance of 10 meters. Cold-blooded murder. We did things like that every day. An Arab just walked down the street, about 25 years old. Didn't throw a stone, nothing. Bang, a bullet in the stomach. Shot him in the stomach, and he was dying on the sidewalk, and we drove away indifferently. A large group of followers consisted of soldiers with no prior inclination to violence. Their behavior was most influenced by junior officers' modeling and the company's norms. Some followers who committed atrocities reported moral injuries. I felt like a Nazi. It looked exactly like we were actually the Nazis, and they were the Jews. One commander came to us. We went out with him on the first patrol at 6 a.m. This is actually an example of something that happened, I think, in 2014. He stops. There's not a soul in the streets, just a little 4-year-old boy playing in the sand in his yard. The commander suddenly starts running, grabs the boy, and breaks his arm at the elbow and his leg here. Stepped on his stomach 3 times and left. We all stood there with our mouths open, looking at him in shock. I asked the commander, "What's your story?" He told me, "These kids need to be killed from the day they're born. When a commander does that, it becomes legit." And it goes on. The Nazi comparisons that even IDF soldiers are seeing about themselves.
That's the thing, is like, even if there was some justification for this war, there are rules to war, and all of this, these are all clearly war crimes. These are all, you know, lines you don't cross even against your enemy. Yeah.
I mean, there are rules of engagement. You're not supposed to do that. Even if somebody is, that's what, there have been so many revealing moments, right? But when the 3 Israeli hostages managed to escape and waved white flags, and the IDF soldiers still killed them. They had nothing. They stripped down. They were wearing their underwear, waving white flags.
And clearly they're torturing this doctor to make an example of them. One of the last few doctors left in this whole country. And just to remind people, there's no opposition to Israel over there. There's no, this is not a war anymore. There's nothing left. There's no reason to violently.
By the way, it wasn't even a war in the first place. Right?
No, but
I mean, I know you know that, but like
the
that's
fake
even
justification for needing to rule out to defeat this force somewhere. There's no force anywhere.
Yeah. And you're never going to root out people who are fighting for their liberation. It's just never going to happen. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just, okay. So, that's Haaretz, by the way. It's so interesting how many of these stories are broken by Israeli journals in the first place. Another just shocking and embarrassing. I mean, this should, like, the New York Times should have been put down, whatever, back in 2002 when they helped sell us into the Iraq war with their lies and Judith Miller. And instead, they just let her take the fall for manufacturing consent for that fake war or completely unnecessary war. But another Israeli journal, Plus 972, revealed back in April with the journalist, the one byline is Yuval Abraham in April, Lavender, the AI machine directing Israel's bombing spree in Gaza. The Israeli army has marked tens of thousands of Gazans as suspects for assassination using an AI targeting system with little human oversight and a permissive policy for casualties. Okay, so this was in April. For every junior Hamas operative that Lavender marked, it was permissible to kill up to 15 or 20 civilians. That's not a rate that is normally acceptable in war. So this was revealed, this AI Lavender technology, that was the whole daddy's home. They waited till a person they claim, whatever, was a Hamas operative, went home with his family so they could do mass destruction and just kill everybody. That was one part of this Lavender program.
Yeah, and not to veer away from Israel, but like this is the AI is being used by the worst people in the world to commit atrocities for profit and benefit. So, the CEO from United Healthcare, he implemented and oversaw AI that rejected 90% of claims, valid claims,
yep,
for coverage. And it's a shield that they use to commit the atrocities. And we're seeing more of that every day with AI. Disaster capital is always going to do that. Here's an opportunity to commit the evil we want, make things worse for people in one way or another. It's not us. It's the AI that we'll tweak the AI. The AI was these little turn, but the AI told us to do this.
Exactly. Okay. So when that came out at the Global Security Forum, this one guy, what's his name? Ronan Bergman, was asked about that reporting and he made fun of it. That was back in this week, New York Times. Yeah, well, that back in April was when that happened. Sorry, we're not going to play the whole video because he just makes fun of it and says it's preposterous. This week, he's one of 7 reporters talking about this loosening of restrictions in slaughtering civilians when you are trying to target, Hamas fighters. Surprised by October 7th and fearful of another attack, Israel weakened safeguard measures meant to protect non-combatants, allowing officers to endanger up to 20 people in each airstrike. One of the deadliest bombardments of the 21st century followed. They go on. The order, which has not previously been reported, had no precedent in Israeli military history. Mid-ranking officers had never been given so much leeway to attack so many targets, many of which had lower military significance at such a high potential civilian cost. In the same article, they talk about details of that process were previously reported by Plus 972, an Israeli-Palestinian news website. I mean, it's not incompetence, the complicity of our journalists in our media is vile, because if they wanted to, they very easily could talk about why October 7th happened in the first place, that it didn't happen out of the blue, that this isn't retribution for that or trying to get hostages. Israel's killed more hostages than they've saved. They could talk about the daily atrocities, but they don't.
They don't. In fact, they do the opposite. They still push this narrative that, well, Israel says they're the most moral army on earth. Like the complete opposite of reality is what they push, so that it still is like sort of ambiguous to people. Oh, it's complicated. I don't know. I heard that they're the most moral army, so I don't know. Who's telling you that other stuff? Oh, Hamas.
Yeah.
Hamas is feeding American college kids with propaganda because they're naive college kids.
Right. That was
who don't watch CNN like I do.
Yeah. And meanwhile, up until, a year and a half ago, Hamas, the registry and the Ministry of Health, we depended on their numbers and they were accurate always. So it was still Hamas because that's who was running the government. But now it's always, the Hamas supplied numbers, the Hamas rendition of events, they make it. And the idea that Hamas committed the terror, but Israel wasn't committing terror against civilians every day for 76 years. We know that 2023 was already the deadliest year for Palestinians in the West Bank, where there's no Hamas. And now the Palestinian Authority has banned Al Jazeera, and they are killing other Palestinians because they're doing the work of the IDF.
And these atrocities have been reported on in the U.S. by rare media people like Donahue back in the 70s.
Yeah.
This has been known here forever as an activist cause. Now, granted, I was not tuned into this until...
But they were always labeled as anti-Semitic. Anybody who ever spoke up for Palestinians was called anti-Semitic. That came so quickly.
But now if you look back, trying to learn from what we missed, it's so clear that this has been going on for 40 fucking years.
76, yeah.
76, whatever. I'm putting it in terms of my personal...
Yeah.
I should have been aware of this for 40 years.
Me too. I know.
Known this for 40 years.
But here's, part of the issue. And yes, that information was out there if you really sought it. Now there's no excuse not to know it. Now it's everywhere.
Now there's video. Now there's every organization that represents any humanitarian cause whatsoever has been screaming this so fucking clearly.
And you can access old records. You can go back to things that did exist but were harder to find, 60 years ago. It's
so clear. And that journalists aren't allowed there. That's a red flag. That's just it right there, right there. No journalists. And they kick out their only critical journalists in their own country, Yeah. The biggest group, Al Jazeera is gone.
Al Jazeera is gone. And then they kill anybody who's, on the street wearing a press flak jacket. And then more recently, Drop Site. And I don't know if they did it in conjunction with Mint Press, but I had thought that it was Alan McLeod who broke the story, who is a journalist with Mint Press. What'd you say?
Oh, I just said he's with Mint Press. Yeah.
Yeah. No, he is.
Finish your sentence. Sorry.
Yeah. No, it's
trying to mansplain it for the men watching. What Lila's trying to say.
But I don't know if they collaborated on this, but revealed that one of the it's so small. Okay, sorry. Rafi Berg, the head of the BBC's Middle East desk, is a Mossad and CIA collaborator. He wrote a book called Red Sea Spies. In his own words, it was written in collaboration with Mossad commander Danny Lamore. Berg's office features framed photos of himself meeting Mossad and Israeli government officials, as well as a signed letter of thanks from Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu himself. Berg is in charge of overseeing BBC content about Israel-Palestine, and according to a new investigation from Drop Site News is the subject of widespread complaints from more than a dozen BBC staffers who allege he systematically alters coverage to ensure it's as favorable as possible towards Israel. Every Palestinian story needs his approval. He personally shapes headlines. He removes context about occupation. He systematically waters down criticism, and he controls which stories reach the home page. Palestinian stories name the killer 27% of the time, which is Israel. That's the IDF. So they'll say babies died, or this person, the birth rate or the population is falling, or, 3 dead in a bomb, and they don't name it. Israeli stories name the killer 43% of the time, and Ukraine stories name Russia 74% of the time. So if you want to know who the aggressor is, who the villain is, you name him. And if you want people to think that Palestinians are mysteriously dropping dead beneath a pile of rubble and a bomb that fell from the sky, that it was an act of God.
Car bomb kills 7 Israelis versus Palestinians kill 3 leaders, or
right.
It's just like a natural event occurrence. The war, it's like the weather, but it's the war.
Yeah, it's like, an act of God.
Brushed through Palestine and killed a bunch of people. That's what happens in war. That's what happens with the weather. That's what happens.
Whereas we heard detailed descriptions of rapes that never happened by Hamas. And now, actually, the UN prosecutor says they're not even prosecuting anybody because they have no evidence of any rapes. So that's, all of that was so that, Sheryl Sandberg could do her documentary and Kamala could talk about the rapes, and we could use the 40 beheaded babies and the mass rape as a justification for the genocide that clearly they were all on the same page about wanting to perpetrate from the onset.
Yeah, and all this for a war that we don't support here, that just cost the Democrats the election, and they couldn't change it because why? We are so beholden to the military-industrial complex, and our politicians are so bought by both military-industrial complex, Israeli government itself.
Oil, minerals, all of it. It's all
everything, which is why it's how you get a fascist elected who's like, I'm not that. I'm not that stuff that's so obvious in front of you. I mean, he can, all you have to do to beat a guy like Trump is do any fucking thing for your population. Support half the views your followers support, half of them. Support some of them. Say you want to do something else. Say you want to do something about Palestine that's different because you recognize the population is going to elect a fascist if I don't change this policy. So I'm going to change something. And they couldn't do fucking anything. That's how owned these fucks are in politics.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay. Should we move on to the politics? Should we spin first?
Spin and move on.
Yeah. Because yeah. Okay. I think so too. Here we go. Oh, if only you.
Sorry, I can't fix this background. We're stuck with my.
That's fine. I like seeing the reality. I just feel bad you're not at the same fun bar that I'm at. Pat, you know why? Oh, it didn't fit on mine. That's why. I
don't even know what you're talking about.
That little template that gets the wheel just where you like it. It's not on my bar.
StreamYard.
That's what's happening. It's StreamYard. Do better, StreamYard.
Yeah, baby.
All right. Timeline cleanse, and don't mind if I do.
We showed the swearing kids. All right. This is wholesome. Sorry. I apologize. This is wholesome.
Yeah. Why would you do that to us? I think the runs is right. I didn't
We
want to
showed
say
that?
anything. I don't want to say anything because I do like that street art. But yeah, I think that maybe you were overserved. I wasn't. No, I'm joking.
Really?
I think, or maybe a different montage that had a few of the same ones. But I love it. I think it's so creative. I love it. And I did just want to go back. Yeah, good.
I was going to say we could pivot sort of with another one about Trump. I mean, it's not really well. I was thinking Elon Musk one actually.
Yeah, why don't you do it? Let's do it.
Do it. All right. This is sort of our in between.
The dancing.
One. Well, there's that.
Blech. Blech. The one good part of the New Year's Eve show was Whitney Cummings.
And people are hating her. Like
really?
Parts of her were funny, parts were terrible. I mean, the parts that I saw.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just that this little 30-second clip. This is a good transition to the Democrats.
All right, let's go.
2024 election fried our brains. The Democrats couldn't hold a primary because they were too busy holding a body upright. Are we still rolling? Am I off?
Go for it.
It was amazing that the pro-choice party didn't give their voters one when it came to the presidential candidate. Kamala was forced on us so hard you'd think she was patented by Pfizer or Moderna, whichever one's. Oh, God. Andy just gave me a very scary look.
No!
Yeah, and as Daniel says, the nice part about getting old is you get to re-enjoy things over and over. So that street art, it was new to me.
Wait,
yeah,
okay. Before we leave Musk, people need to know a little bit about Musk. So I liked this clip. It's not going to lead into what we're going into.
That's all right.
Who cares? Who cares?
Yeah. Elon Musk is a weird loser, but is he a scam? Find out on my recurring segment. Is it a scam? Yep. He's been around Silicon Valley for a long time, first being fired as the CEO of X-Bank and then being kicked out as the CEO of PayPal. But he's most known for founding Tesla. And by founding, I mean not founding, investing, kicking out the founders, and then later making a large settlement that allowed him to claim he was the founder. But his true passions are saying things out loud that aren't true and making predictions that don't happen. In 2011, he said we'd be to Mars in 10 years. Then in 2017, he said we'd be there by 2022. He's constantly claimed that we were moments away from full self-driving cars. He also said that by 2020, if you buy a Tesla, it will be able to work during the day without your help as a robo-taxi, going so far as to showing a completely fake app. In 2014, he promised that your car would be able to swap its battery within minutes so that he could get a bunch of government subsidies, numerous tunnel projects, and then ghosted all of the cities he was working with. The only tunnel he did build was in Las Vegas, which he said would be fully autonomous, but instead is just a guy in a car will drive you very slowly in traffic. He also later admitted that he made up the Hyperloop promise just to get California to stop working on high-speed rail. He promised that COVID would be over by April 2020, that Twitter would have 1 billion monthly users by 2023, that Starlink speeds would double by 2021, that solar tiles would be available at some point, and he personally promised to fix the Flint water crisis. But did he do that? Nope. And I know it's possible that he's not actually lying about all of these things. He's just a dumb person. So he's a fake founder who either lies about everything or doesn't understand any of the projects he's working on. But is he a scam? Yep.
Yeah, I mean, however dumb or whatever he might be, or Trump might be, or ignorant, lacking knowledge, he is smart in that he knows exactly how to fleece the government for billions, because he's gotten bailed out. He's gotten contracts from the government. He was, like a World Economic Forum, bright, young, new talent kind of person in the 2000s. Like, he has played his hand. He has government contracts, the spyware, the Starlink, like,
without the government contracts, he's just a regular old multimillionaire.
Yeah,
he's making all his money off these contracts. That's why he's sucked up to Trump. That's it.
But it's bipartisan because it's been going on for a decade and a half now, 2 decades.
Yeah,
right?
But where I will give him some wisdom is he knew that Trump was going to win this election, so he doubled down on let's go that way.
Yeah,
and he's got the power with his platform to also steer people that way.
Yeah,
the stuff we're seeing now. They now have he's just starting to implement it's like a Chinese thing almost. It's like your social equity score, on Twitter, if you're too negative, on Twitter, if you're too negative, you're going to be seen less by people.
Yeah. You'll be muted. So don't be negative about the economy, about your government, about genocide, about climate, about like, don't be negative.
That's literally laid out in his plan. Like to
up.
do that. Like if you like, please share some cat pictures once in a while, because that will cancel some of that out. It's an algorithm, but like,
yeah, you'll be suppressed otherwise.
It's hot garbage. The site has gone to shit.
Yeah. And you know, I just want like what Zainab wrote a bit ago that we didn't, but like, yes, the Hasbara is predicated on the fact that the lies spread quickly. People pick it up. There is an investment in them because it justifies exactly what they want. And the truth is often, like, almost everything that I've eventually seen in the New York Times was shown by an independent journalist in October 2023. Right. But like all the lies make it around the whole world and are used. And they're like, they still talk about it. I still, you know, Kamala will still talk about the rapes. So the truth is much harder to come by. And then it's like a little addendum at the end. Like, by the way, the New York Times still has not pulled their screams without words story about all the fake rapes. I mean, they said there were rapes, but like they have shown it caused internal strife at the New York Times. They wouldn't run that story on the daily program, which is like hardly hard-hitting news, but they saw there were enough inconsistencies and lack of substantiating evidence that they pulled it, and it still is up there with barely a footnote to explain.
Yeah, and the whole story came from a discredited person that was not a journalist, that didn't do basic journalism to, you know, double check sources and nothing. It's all from garbage, and it was junk. It never would have met any actual journalistic standard to not produce that, you know, to put that out. You'd have to meet some standards. It didn't, but for some reason, the New York Times, top journalism place in the world, was like, you know, we'll let this one go. We'll let this one go.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to, are we going to the president,
Democratic stuff,
the president for the next 15 days,
the Medal of
days?
Freedom people? Look at these heroes.
I mean, I have to tell you, for Jose Andres to get up there, he had his own people killed in the World Central Kitchen with American weapons financed by the US, complete complicity of our government. I guess we're just going to memory hole that and move on because he gets to go to some black tie event and get an award, whatever. And as we said before, Bono, the one Irish person who is pro-genocide and pro-Israel. It's just breathtaking to see that. Hillary Rodham Clinton, I mean, George Soros. I mean, some of these people should have boycotted. Lionel Messi and whatever. Anyway, what?
Ralph Lauren also involved in some atrocious.
Who? Which one did you say?
Ralph Lauren.
Oh, yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah, he's on the. No, he's a Nazi enabler. He's a
pro-Israel, like Zionist kind of guy.
No, I thought he helped the Nazis. I think he's.
I don't think so, because I think he's Jewish. I mean, he might have, because I know that, but like, you might be right. I'm not. I'm going to let you handle this one.
I'm going to lean. When in doubt, I lean on I'm not right.
99%.
Problematic. Can I just put problematic next to him for some reason that you can make up the reason?
It's Mad Libs. There was another where'd it go? Comment that I did as we get into the Democrat that Mike said here, that Kamala fleeced 1.5 billion or maybe 2 billion from Blue Sheep. That's anybody who donates to the Democrats. That's the win. Getting elected would only have been an annoyance. And you can see it because right now you've got Biden doing these medals of freedom. He gave some other presidential award to Liz Cheney. Oops, sorry. Yeah. What was it? Just Presidential Citizens Medal. She is an anti-LGBTQ pro-war, voted with Trump 93% of the time, Republican, and he loves her. He loves her. Why not?
I just don't see the point. Like, look at this list of people, though. Like,
yeah, that one was a different one. This is the Medal of Freedom, and that, yeah.
I'm just lumping them all in together, though. But like his final push here, he's got less than a week left. He's thanking the enemy. Like, okay, George Soros. You don't need to thank George Soros. He's a villain to the right. He's a boogeyman that's been created. Like,
but he's gotten millions of dollars from him. The Democratic Party has, right? So that's his.
Yeah, so you have to, I guess. But like, freedom. but then you got back to the regular old, just small medals.
This is just getting to meet. Okay, so this was so there was the award for Cheney, Liz Cheney, which was the Citizens Award. Then there was the Medal of Freedom, which is some like black tie event where, you know, all these muckety mucks get to feel good about themselves. This is independent journalists who had the pleasure of being invited to the White House to meet empathetic, the new FDR, most progressive Biden. I mean, David Pakman talks about himself as, I think, even more than a liberal, right? He thinks of himself as like a kind of lefty progressive guy.
Dude, he went after me once. He thinks he's a progressive, but he's a piece of shit, garbage human being who propped up Biden, pretended this genocide was no big deal.
Yep.
Just a garbage, shitty leftist. No different from this fucking piece of shit right here. Like the same thing. Like, just because you use kind words, if you're telling me we got to vote for this fucking guy, you are him. These are your peers in independent media who are basically bought to support fucking genocide. Fuck Absolutely. You, David Pakman. Eat a bag of dicks or whatever fucking suits your fucking palate.
Yeah. And this guy, the too raw, too real, was so vile in 2020 against any Bernie supporter. Blocked everybody, said the most horrific, shitty things, while everybody in mainstream media was saying, oh, Bernie has a Bernie bro problem. They're so toxic. The Bernie supporters are so toxic, as if Bernie needs to, be in control of his millions of supporters. And then this guy is invited to the fucking White House.
Oh, you fake ass Bernie bro, stop putting this big black woman with these yellow arms under my post. Fuck Rashida, bitch. I don't give a damn about this bitch.
I don't fuck with AOC. AOC can't do a motherfucking thing for me but make me a goddamn martini, bitch. She can't do shit for me. She need to take her ass back to the motherfucking bartending days, bitch. She ain't done shit.
Fuck Bernie Sanders. Tell it in his old ass, busted ass face. Let him have another goddamn heart attack. I don't give a fuck if that hurts. 2 stents, bitch. 2.
Fuck you, bitch. I don't give a fuck about this bitch. She ain't on the same motherfucking level as fucking Hillary Clinton. And last time I checked, Hillary Clinton was defending bitches like her. Last time I checked, bitch, she was defending bitches like you. Last time I checked, she was fighting for Muslim rights, bitch.
I thought Bernie Sanders was anti-billionaire, but it's funny. Maybe it's because you guys have a lot in common, or maybe it's because the fact that you sucking his dick so hard that's why the bottom row of your fucking teeth are rotten, bitch.
Ask motherfuckers in Detroit what the fuck Rashida did for them. Ask them. Her ass went to motherfucking Washington. She forgot about niggas. All she cared about was Palestine and immigration. She didn't give a fuck about black people.
I want to go hard for Kamala Harris, but I ain't heard nothing about this black agenda. Bitch, shut the fuck up! It's on that motherfucking website. Look it up!
Hillary did more for black people than motherfuckers you can even fucking imagine. Fighting off segregation, going undercover, getting niggas out of jail in South Carolina.
Shut the fuck up if you don't know!
Tell me what the fuck Bernie did. Bernie is a fucking failure. How the fuck you get your motherfucking mouth to even say that shit, Bernie? Your ass ain't did shit.
The worst motherfucking representation of what a woman's supposed to be in motherfucking Congress. I've never heard motherfucking Kamala Harris ever fucking complain. Remember, before this, you was just a bitch-ass bartender.
Fuck AOC.
Booing a bitch who fucking fought for your bitch ass. Who fought for women's rights before your motherfucking ass even got here, a bitch. Who the fuck are you, bitch? What the fuck you did, bitch? Your ass ain't did shit. Fuck you. Fuck you.
You're full of shit.
How dare you? How dare fucking you? Fuck you, Bernie.
So when they do the tone policing and the civility monitoring, it's only for us.
This
Because
guy
that's
gets a
disgusting.
fucking award from the president in the Oval Office. Are you kidding me? This guy, he was kicked off Twitter because he was too violent. He ran I don't know what you call them, but you know, those trucks that have neon signs on both sides.
Yeah.
And he listed like grievances about people online by name, like who to go after.
No,
he's a garbage human being through and through. He became a de facto leader of K-Hive as well, because of course you're rewarded for being a Democratic fucking scumbag online.
Yep.
And like this is he's like their version of like the necessary evil to fight the Bernie bros.
Right.
Meanwhile, they're tone policing us. You know, like what are you fucking kidding me? This guy.
I agree with everything you're saying, just not the way you say it. Every liberal to every left person. That's what they always say. I mean, I am for Medicare for all, but not if that's how you're going to go about talking about it. But that's okay. K-Hive. And even what's his face? Biden, when he was first elected, was like, I hear Kamala's got, or maybe when they were running together in 2020, it was finally just them as a ticket, saying like, I hear the K-Hive's got some, good, strong supporters. I hope you come on over to my side. And that was all praised and welcomed. And they made up the lie about the Bernie supporters just the way Hillary had done about Barack Obama supporters, calling them Obama boys. So that's their whole play. Nobody should ever get taken in by any of this. But look, I mean, listen, the White House has been so disgustingly tarred for me for decades anyway, that whoever they want to invite there is fitting. Slave owners were the first occupants. So
it's just this last run it just shows to me how little he cares about Biden, how little he cares about the country, how little the Democrats care about the country.
Yep.
It's more like hey, I'm gonna give out some awards to the worst people who fucking helped us, and good luck. I'm gonna die in like 5 years. That's it for me.
Democracy is also about to die, and the fascists worse than Hitler. I just handed him the presidency. Yeah. Handed him the presidency, and I'm not going to do anything with all the powers that apparently the Supreme Court just gave to the executive office, but are never available to Democrats when they hold power magically. And this is just, I mean, who the hell cares? But, Kamala saying to, during the swearing in just recently of during the official Senate swearing in on Friday, stand right here, although that's not your nature to just stand where you're told to stand, but give it a try. I never, ever need to see her ever again.
I'm going to keep her in her intro forever.
Yeah.
Just keep never lose your sense of outrage. That's what Bernie said.
Never, ever lose your sense of outrage. So let's just see, as Biden leaves and is just like shoving his shit in everybody's face, give it the big scoop from ex-IDF soldier Barak Ravid, who works for the New York Times, I think the Times, but anyway, or the Washington Post, whatever. Anyway, Biden notifies Congress $8 billion arms sale to Israel, which again is just the whole money laundering. I mean, like, yes, genocide, which is the worst part of it, of course, but like, then our money goes to the military industrial complex, who then sells the weapons to Israel, who we're giving money to anyway, who then buy those weapons. I mean, it's a free for all.
And then, it's all compounded. It's like, and then we justify it because we're giving them old weapons, which means, of course, we need to rebuild our stock. So that company they're triple dipping, basically. It's
It just, okay, so do we have any more Dem stuff? We have a little Chuck Schumer. Oh, well, this was interesting. Chuck Schumer called out on Biden's mental agility on the Sunday shows. Do you want to take a listen? Yeah. All right. Sorry, folks.
Oh, you want me to find it?
I want to play you a little bit of something you said last year. Take a look.
I talk to President Biden, regularly, sometimes several times in a week, or usually several times in a week. His mental acuity is great. It's fine. It's as good as it's been over the years. All this right-wing propaganda that his mental acuity has declined is wrong.
Leader Schumer, what do you say to Americans who feel as though you and other top Democrats misled them about President Biden's mental acuity?
Look, we didn't, and let's look at President Biden. He's had an amazing record. The legislation we passed, one of the most significant groups of legislation since Lyndon Johnson's Great Society, putting in 235 judges, a record, and he's a patriot. He's a great guy. And when he stepped down, he did it on his own because he thought it was better not only for the Democratic Party, for America. We should all salute him. We should all salute him.
Do you feel, as we have this conversation today, that President Biden could serve another 4 years had he stayed in the race and potentially won?
Well, I'm not going to speculate. As I said, I think his record is a stellar one, and he'll go down in history as a really outstanding president.
Yeah, he'll go down in history as an outstanding president. All right. The only reason that she asks that question is because they're all trying to save face now, these journalists who somehow didn't have the insider knowledge that anybody with two fucking eyes and a brain had in 2019 could see that Joe Biden was mentally incapacitated, was sundowning, was not anywhere close to what he had been. And he was always just a blowhard jerk, but he could put a sentence together.
They all reported on it in 2019.
Yeah.
In 2019, all the reporters called it out and then forgot for 5 fucking years. For 5 years, they're like, no. And then they're like, back to, let's be antagonistic journalists again. Let's pretend to do some journalism. Like, Chuck Schumer, how fucking dare you fucking lie to us forever and make us shut our mouths and be quiet for 5 years. We trusted you.
Yeah, it's just they are all complicit in the downfall of our country. So,
but while we're on this, I think we should pivot to the economy and why fucking Biden. I mean, one of a million reasons Democrats lost, but here's Biden's legacy. The kids are moving in with their parents again. Like, this is a good sign of a healthy, thriving economy. That roughly 45% of kids from 18 to 29 are living at home. 60% of Gen Zs and millennials moved back in the last 2 years.
I love that they say often because of financial challenges.
No, I mean, 50% are just like, I missed my mom.
Yeah, I'm 35. I just really want to live in the basement. But this is why median family income in the U.S. has gone from 10,000 in 1971 to 55,000 today, a gain of 5.5 times. However, the median cost of a car has gone from 4 to 48,000. That's an increase of 12 times. The median cost of a house has gone from 25,000 to 357,000, an increase of 14 times. The median cost of an Ivy League college has gone from 3,000 a year to 87,000, an increase of 29 times. The average cost of healthcare per person has gone from $400 to $15,000 a year, an increase of 37 times. So,
So
where else are you going to live?
Where was that graph where was that chart? Okay. So look, no matter what you think about the economy, like the things that you need, you don't need the college in the middle, right? Let's take that out, right? Let's just say you need a car, probably. You probably need a house. Well, you don't need a house, but you need to rent. And that's going to be along the same lines. Probably worse for renters. Rent from then to now is probably bigger than 14.
I have no idea, but it's not affordable.
But just healthcare, 37 fucking times what it was back then. 30 fucking 7, right? 14 times for housing, 12 times for your car. So like, people should be fucking rioting, but the reason they're not, it's in this graph. Healthcare. You need healthcare, so you need your fucking job. You don't want to lose your fucking job.
Right.
So you stay at your miserable fucking job to have your fucking shitty healthcare that is 10,000 times worse than you think it is when you actually need to use it, which is why Luigi Mangione is a fucking hero.
Yeah, well, because the healthcare insurers are doing their stock buybacks $120 billion went to shareholders while they're denying our claims. And just as a reminder, and this article by, sorry, God, my eyes are just terrible. Kazim Rashid, United Health CEO, was killed 30 days ago. He wrote this 2 days ago. Killed 32 days ago on December 4th. Mangioni's on trial for that killing of one person. Since December 4th, 5,589 Americans have died preventable deaths under America's exploitative for-profit health system. But those CEOs are not going to be going on trial for those deaths.
Yeah, but here's the thing. The economy's doing great. It's going to trickle down to you. It's not going to trickle down in like Pelosi levels because you don't own all the stocks that Pelosi does because you don't have insider fucking knowledge of all the fucking weapon manufacturers they're about to give contracts to.
Like and you can't even who can afford to buy a stock if you can't even afford rent or healthcare or food?
Yeah. So this is why nobody has any fucking faith in, I'm sorry, I got to stop swearing so much.
I know I'm doing the same thing. Sorry. Me too.
Nobody should have faith in politicians and either side because clearly you've got these old folks in power, still in power because they've bought their right to be in power. They have caved to all the donors with the money. So those donors are like, I don't care what the public thinks. She's going to vote with me. Here's some stock tips. Nobody makes 54% on their stocks. Nobody does it. Pelosi does it.
She's just, she has some a magical ability to figure out what's going to happen. She's made like $120 million since she has been in Congress because she's just a really good guesser on when to short sell, when to buy.
Democrats, if you think that's just like not that important, it's important because fascists use that talking point. They can point to that and go, Democrats are corrupt. All of you Democrats are corrupt because Nancy Pelosi makes 54%. She keeps saying we don't want any rules that say you can't invest in stocks. It's so clear a point to make on the right that she is fucking corrupt.
Yep.
And by osmosis, all the Democratic Party is because she's been the leader for the last fucking 20 years.
It's why they didn't go after Trump on the real things that they could have pegged on him and instead made up all the, the Ukraine call and it's the Russiagate stuff. They can't go after him on the emoluments or on his corruption because they're all guilty of it too.
So guilty.
Yeah. So, food insecurity is up. Credit card defaults, highest level since 2010. I don't know. The other thing that's gone up, and thanks Biden for this also, is giving cops more money. Guess what? Produces cops killing more people than any year in more than a decade.
The guy who got elected on the cusp of Black Lives Matter and people.
Those activists getting people to the polls. Seriously. Yeah.
No one is more disillusioned than people that were Democrats or still are Democrats.
Right.
And they're not going to be less disillusioned by marketing, which is the spin now. We
just have to sell it better.
It's the same thing they always try to say, but that's all they got left is like the economy it's doing better. We just didn't tell people they're doing better.
Right. And some of these things are just going to take a while to get there. You know what didn't take a while? The COVID protections. Checks being sent out. I mean, just when you see how much money it is, what is it, like $187,000 a year to house a homeless person is what they've figured out. Like, think about what that could be if you actually just gave people money and put regulations in on, how is it that we have these wealthy people who buy government representatives to keep wages low so that people are so frightened and have no health care They can't afford just basic necessities, let alone, college that puts them, in forever debt. And then those same people become philanthropists because they'll give $100 million to some foundation. There's no need for philanthropy. Philanthropy should actually only exist for people who have had some horrible thing happen to them that's the fault of nobody. But the same people who get credit for their philanthropy are actually trying in a very small margin to offset all the damage they have done getting to the point where their millions of dollars of philanthropy is just a small percentage of what they've actually stolen from the rest of us.
And what's really amazing to me is that's how it's been forever. It's like these people, these rich billionaires do something that gets them some good press. And then Elon Musk doesn't even do the good thing. His good thing, he's convinced the public that his good thing is just existing and making electric cars and shit. His good thing is that he's going to get us to Mars while everyone's fucking homeless and starving and all this. But he's doing a good deed by taking government money and contracts to do this shit. To do this shit that doesn't help us here at all. Like his electric car plan doesn't, electric cars are probably a net benefit, but
they're not really suitable to the climate disasters that are coming. The reason that whole loop thing.
He's blocking the efficient electric car systems that exist already in China. China is so much better at electric cars because of swappable batteries. Right. They're so moons ahead of us because of his dumb shit with electric cars.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, listen, how many millions of dollars would it take to fix the water system in Flint? He could have done that. He was going to rescue the Thai soccer team that was stuck in a mine or whatever. Remember that? But I mean, the whole thing with the Hyperloop was basically a tunnel as opposed to, mass transit,
dumbest
fast rail,
fucking
mass
idea
transit.
that anyone sitting down for 5 minutes with beers with Elon Trump could convince was stupid. And he knew it was stupid. It was a fucking tunnel for a car to go through.
Yeah. The Hyperloop.
Are you fucking kidding me? They have fucking trains. Trains take more people through a tunnel than a car ever fucking could.
Of course.
The dumbest fucking idea on earth. And all these
He's Batman. He's Batman. He's the billionaire who's going to save. Meanwhile, get rid of one billionaire and you've done more to save more people than Elon Musk has ever done. Okay. Anything more to add about our people?
I just uploaded it and I deleted this earlier because I thought it was the same video you had on Schumer.
Yeah.
But here's Schumer on, Biden and the Democratic Party.
Okay. Yeah. Tell us.
Oops. Oh, wait. Here it is.
So we did a lot of good things, but all too often, Kristen, we talked about the mechanics of the legislation and the details of the legislation, and we really didn't show the kind of empathy and concern to average, or show enough of it to average working families who didn't realize how much we had done and how much we care for them. So what we're going to do is spend a lot of time talking to working families, showing them how much we care about them.
I feel you. I see you. That's the Democratic solution.
Nobody cares how much you care about them if you're in power and do fuck all for them. And you didn't even pretend to do fuck all for them. Kamala's platform was nothing. There was no platform.
It's a tax credit. And fewer regulations on housing. They don't care. Again, if they did, first of all, they wouldn't have run Biden in the first place. Clearly incapable of running. And that question that, I'm surprised that she even said it because it really is putting Schumer on the spot. I can't remember her name, but the Sunday Lady show. The lady from the Sunday show about do you think that he could be serving 4 more years? I mean, imagine he can't find his way off a stage, right? So that's how much they cared. That's how worried they were about Trump coming into power. Not a drop. Not a drop. They would have actually run somebody that they thought could beat him. And also who's taking care of everything right now. And they would be doing things now. They could have protected Lena Khan. They could have protected the NLRB. They could have done a few things right now to safeguard against the people who are like even worse.
Yeah, and in their choice to run right and appeal to the Liz Cheney crowd, they softened all the attacks on Biden. They softened his view, on Trump. They softened, immigration. They allowed for more otherizing people that don't have any power. They blame the homeless more. They blame everything is like, okay, you just lobbed up Trump's success. By trying to appeal to his audience, you just lobbed up that Trump is going to have more support across the aisle for all these issues.
Because also, Kitty, thank you. Happy New Year. It's New Year. Cheers. Thank you. I know you said you had to go. Yeah, and I saw Audra saying like
with this stupid camera.
Oh no, what is going on? I thought we had solved this. I guess I just solved it on my end. So I felt really good about it all.
Well, I did switch my camera. So maybe I have to go back to the old stupid camera. I don't know.
I think you might. That's what I use. Yeah, they don't care at all. They all play for the same team. They get paid by the same people. Oh my God, those fundraising emails and texts are the biggest grift going, and they'll make even more money now that they're out of power. So it's a win, 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 win. We keep doing this and leaving COVID to the end. Do you want to just like get to a couple of the things, or what should we do?
Okay. Yeah, let's just do a quick little COVID.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
The important part is that everything disease-wise right now is terrible. Okay.
Spiking.
Wear a mask. Highest level in more than 2 years for RSV. Highest level in more than 2 years for COVID. Highest level in more than 2 years for influenza A. Highest level in more than 2 years for norovirus,
which is crazy contagious, apparently.
Crazy contagious, and it's a gut thing. You shit all the time
and vomit.
You may not die.
But it's dangerous.
But all these things are terrible and spreading like crazy.
And just as a reminder, yes, wear a good mask, but bird flu and norovirus are both also spread by like fomites. So like you have to wash your hands.
Which you love because you're a wash the hands.
Because it's not only hand sanitizer doesn't work. It's actually rubbing with soap and water, like something in the bubbles for whatever reason. And this is horrible, but the way to kill, to kill norovirus
on your hands, said it,
is with bleach, or there is a natural, and I know there's a natural potion that is sold by Force of Nature, but it is actually something that you can make on your own. But is
this the hydrochloric acid thing that people are doing?
It is, but it's natural. So for people who don't want to use bleach, that can be really, really harsh, but and also it has to stay on the surface for a certain number of minutes actually to kill it. You can't just spray and wipe. There's all these things, and everything is getting worse because we have destroyed collectively our immune systems as a society, because we ended public health and told everybody to deal with a global pandemic on an individual basis. As a reminder, in the US, an average of about 900 people a week have died of COVID over the past year. Every week, 900. So for a long time, we were saying 500, but a lot of that is because there's lagging data and not all the hospitals were reporting every week. 900 deaths a week because of COVID in 20.
Yeah, so even if you're a lefty with the podcast, that alone is measurable. Forget long COVID exists. Forget it's closer to AIDS than the flu or the cold. That's 900 people a week dying that you're ignoring, and you're telling your audience by your passive lack of a voice that this is not something leftists should be worrying about, because you're not fucking covering the thing that gets us closest to changing our healthcare and changing. If you want socialism, communism, whatever, 37 times more of our money goes to healthcare now than it did in the 70s. You're ignoring that issue that gets us closest to it, that protects your peers, that is the most intersectional issue of all time, connecting to race and social economic status more than anything on fucking earth.
Yeah.
You're ignoring that while there are more pandemics right fucking in front of us that you should be covering right fucking now. You fucking cowards.
I mean, it really is such cowardice. And so many people have shown the lack of true ideology that they have on any sort of working as a society together, communally, however you want to put it. But for the greater good, they really
35% increase in people who are disabled over the last 4 years. 35%.
And so last show we talked about the reporting in the UK that 23% of the UK military wasn't deployable because of medical conditions, an all-time high for them. And now they just did this report in the US, 25% of US Marines, who are like the fittest, people, whatever, I don't know, whatever you're going to say.
But they're not the people that you just
1
let
in
fall
4.
by the wayside
Yeah.
because they're old or fat or whatever,
They report long-term physical, cognitive, or psychiatric effects after mild COVID. These are people who are young and in great shape. So that right-wing talking point of like, we're a really fat nation. Yes, we are. We eat unhealthy. Correct. But these people are not. They had mild COVID, and 25% of them are suffering from long COVID.
Yeah, and look, if you're gonna be a leftist and you're gonna ignore that the CDC used to have recommendations for this thing right in front of us, the norovirus, they used to have recommendations for how you take care of it and clean things and mask. They've removed all that. So there's no mention of that. So look, even if you've been conspiracy holed into believing the vax is the problem, can you separate that from fucking masking and basic fucking science? Because we need the basic science back to protect us from some of these pandemics. Forget the virus. Forget the vaccines. Can we just get you on board with this? Like, make your audience aware of this so that they can mask and not get fucking one of the quademic things out there.
But they'll still talk about how masks don't work and they don't work for kids and all this bullshit.
They fucking work. The science shows they fucking work.
I mean, it's just science. It's physics. There's no question about it. And I'll tell you, that Cochrane paper that they put out was really criminal. And even though they've retracted it and said that it was misinterpreted and all that, they knew what they were doing when they put it out. And even though, there have been study after study and experts who have talked about it and, scientists and all of that, you will still hear people talk about that, and closing the schools was bad. On the left. Anyway, it's 7:05.
All right. We'll save our Joe Rogan shit. And
no.
Look, we know what people who follow COVID know that, but Rogan's out there now saying, look, we need to look at the biggest problem the media is ignoring right now is excess deaths. And they are. It's so clear that the excess deaths are through the fucking roof, and they're through the roof because everyone's ignoring fucking COVID.
But he's going to tie it to vaccinations.
Yeah, you had Aaron Rodgers on. They go on this whole thing about, the media is fake because they're not covering the cause of the excess deaths.
It's like, you got that first part right.
Yeah, you're correct.
But by the way, just as a reminder, and I think we did show this, but it's also for children. Like for children, excess death from disease in school-age children in 2024 is 10% higher than pre-pandemic. 31 additional children die every month. nearly 400 additional deaths in those aged 5 to 17. And, they know that it's, first of all, most people aren't even vaccinated anymore, right? They haven't kept up with it. And the spikes keep happening. The diseases keep happening. The deaths keep happening. I think 20% of the country is current on boosters. So, anyway, all right.
I don't care about vaccine.
Just wear a mask.
I don't care. Look, there is not a vaccine out there that prevents you from catching or spreading COVID, right? So it's better to have a vax, but even in that respect, the science shows that your long-term effects to your brain and that part of it isn't blocked by having a vaccine, right? That's a lot of what the latest stuff shows.
I didn't hear what you just said because I was just reading this. Sorry,
no, but think whatever you want about the vax,
right?
But recognize we have a problem. The easiest way to solve that problem and contain this and have a chance at fighting it with some sort of vaccine or something that actually stops the spread of it is masking.
Yeah.
Like just fucking mask. This is not fucking rocket science. It needs to be adopted by everybody, left, socialist, communist. If you're a socialist and communist and you think masks are wrong or that's not worth your time or you need to live your life, you're terrible at it. Go read some more theory. Show me in the theory where it says you don't fucking
grass.
Just show me in the theory where it says not to look after the. First off, it's not the disabled people. It's not the weakest that are at risk. It's fucking everybody. But
yeah, I know that.
But show me where, if you just think it's the weakest at risk, show me where it says in there we should not care about them, because that's what you're fucking doing.
I mean, I am the only person masked, and my husband, anywhere we go. Every once in a while, I will see somebody who is working at a place that we've walked into wearing a mask. And as you're saying, if you are a socialist or a communist or anybody on the left or anybody who believes in humanity, that's a show of solidarity. That, like, when I was doing all the Bernie canvassing in 2019 and I bought all these Bernie tank tops and everything said Medicare for all and blah, blah, whatever. Because it's not because I was like a Bernie stan. It was those policies, right? And I kind of wanted everybody to know, like, it's okay. This is when I wear a mask, to me, that's the biggest show of solidarity I can do right now, because nothing else, like, that is that's like your direct action on some level. Like, you're showing everybody, like, the disease is still happening. It is out there, and you're showing solidarity with all of the people who are being forced to work in the midst of, this quadremic. What?
Yeah, I had to go over that a couple times. I don't even know. Quademic.
We'll figure it out.
But yeah, wear a mask, please, people. Come on.
Eat the rich, but fuck the weak. Yeah, not. And yeah, I think, you're right that we are in a way worse moment, because now nobody's masking. Democrats have successfully made people think you don't have to mask, and masks are the scarlet letter. So now what's going to happen? And they lie about things like the lockdowns harming education and kids' development. Anyway, all right.
We're going to all be in
quademic.
Such worse shape if we don't get the left to at least fight this fight. Because if the left doesn't fight this fight, everybody just gets all these fucking diseases in the next 5 to 10 years. And everybody dies in the next 15 to 20 years. Like, literally everybody, probably, from all this shit. Like, it's just, I'm not a conspiracy person. I'm not a germaphobe. I'm not a pussy. Like, all this stuff is just like, it's the rational opinion you should come to.
I feel like you just made 3 adjectives that were all about Lila. What?
No.
What?
No.
Why wouldn't you be? No,
you're a germaphobe.
I'm joking. I'm a germaphobe. I am starting to become a conspiracy theorist, and I don't know what the third thing was.
If I put my camera over here in this kitchen, you would know I was not a germaphobe. But my point is, like, this is not this. All you have to do is look at the science, and we don't know that all these things blow up and are bad for us, but we know what the scientists say, and they've been warning about this stuff forever. And it's not just an obscure little chiropractor scientist on the left who thinks this stuff. It's the consensus of most scientists that we should protect against, like, don't drink fucking unpasteurized milk. Like, hey, do you believe that science or not? You know, like
We've
most
taken
people
like
say
a century and a half step back.
it's not a new thing.
Yes,
Yeah.
the SCP candidates were the only ones who wore good quality masks consistently, 100%.
Anyway.
Yeah, syphilis is skyrocketing. Whooping cough, measles, things we had eradicated. It's disgusting what both parties have been complicit in doing just to get the economy up and running, and it's only running for them. So if you
if you're an
keep
individualist, socialist, and communist, you're writing your own theory, because that's not about individualism. Neither of those theories are about individualism.
Yeah,
they're not about my freedom's libertarianism. They're kind of the opposite. They're kind of about the greater good.
All right, we are back on our schedule. We'll be back on Wednesday. I feel like revolutionary energy should be sucked into all of our veins. Let's create some joy and liberation this year, even if it's in whatever small way we are each able to do. We are going to go out on a man whose film was not included at the Golden Globes today, but has been now it's shortlisted for the Oscars. This is, one second, I want to just make sure I get his name right. Filmmaker Rashid Mashwari, who is a Palestinian filmmaker, made a film. It is a documentary with 22 short vignettes about Palestinians surviving genocide. And cheers to him. Cheers to all of you. We will see you on Wednesday. Keep punching up, everybody.
See you next week.
Where all my memory, my school, my childhood games, friends for sure, neighbors for sure, and many things. But still, I'm someone known as, I always optimistic. I'm always adding hope. I believe in cinema, in art. I trust cinema, because I think cinema should play the role that it's playing in From Ground Zero. Cinema for justice, cinema for humanity, cinema just to remind the world all the time, we are all humans. We are the same. We have the same dreams. Many people was killed because they were in Gaza at this location, at this time, and they have nothing to do with what's going on. Women's and kids and old people. Okay, we know what happened in 7 October. We know when Hamas get out and they attack and they hostage people and they kill people and they arrest people. Me, myself, I know also many, many massacres that the Israelis did before 7 October. This struggle, it started more than 77 years ago, before 1948. And we have, as Palestinians, we have to keep telling our stories. We have to fight to make good cinema also and to share all these stories with the world. I am very happy that these films are now crossing the US, showing in many cinemas. And I will be very happy when many people just go and watch, because it's not news. It's not a reportage. It has something else. It has nothing to do with politics even. It has something to do with our world that we are all sharing. We are looking for justice.